Very good morning, Professor. Today, my classmates and I have the pleasure to talk to you about our podcast named Corruption in the Professional Finance Professional Field. My classmates are Leonardo Ortega, Adonis Laguna, and my person, Aníbal Castillo. And today we are going to start off with the opening section, the actual problem of corruption in the finance field.
Empiezo yo. Welcome to the profession. Today we'll discuss an important ethical issue in the financial profession, corruption. As future financial professional, we understand that true transparency and accountability are essential in our field. Corruption and financial helping when someone abuses financial authority for personal gain such as bribery, manipulation of financial statement, insider trading, or credit fraud. Moreover, corruption directly affects investor clients and economy of financial institutions operate transparent, procedent, corruption war decreases significant.
That's correct. That's true. In finance and credit analysis, corruption can distort risk evaluations. It can approve loans unfairly or hide financial losses. For example, a credit analyst may manipulate a borrower's credit worthiness in exchange for some commissions or some money. And as a result, the institution may suffer financial losses. If professionals ignore ethical standards, the entire financial system would become unstable.
And corruption is unfair not only because it causes loss, but also because it destroys public trust. However, many corruption cases begin with the small unitary decision. If companies strengthen international controls, employers will call think twice before acting dishonestly. Ethics is not optional in finance, it is necessary.
That is very true. So now we are going to present a case where corruption in finance and how it looked like.
Now let's analyze a case. Imagine financial manager approves love or granted clients receive commission under table. At first, everything looked normal. However, months later, many clients default on their loans. The bank declared default.
Correct. In this situation, the compliance department should have investigated the unusual approvals earlier because this is the department responsible of this. The risk team could have detected inconsistency in the credit reports, and because of that, the losses become way much more bigger.
Exactly. If the company have however proper verification protocols, the fraud would have happened. If the auditors have reviewed the loan portfolio more carefully, They could have prevented corruption. This shows that the weak supervision creates opportunities for fraud.
Creare money railroad samples. For instance, around compilation money plus financial statement and statement. It's executable creative for financial report. If regular economic faster, investor would have lost his money. Discussed change the financial industry forever.
That is very true. That is very true. They changed financial industry forever. Now, there's some things that we can be doing to avoid corruption, and here we are going to name them. As future professional, we must ask ourselves, what are we doing? What am I doing um, to avoid corruption? Personally, I focus on integrity and objectivity. I always verify financial information before making any sort of recommendation. In addition, I believe documentation is essential. And if I saw any suspicious transaction, like out of time, for example, I would report that immediately.
And in my case, I try to improve my knowledge in compliance, auditing, and risk management. Financial literacy reduces idle mistake. Furthermore, I have a conflict of interest. If some of read my money to alter a report, I will read it. Professional ethics must come before profit.
For me, avoiding corruption might be transparent in every financial decision. It also means keeping independence within Gable when value creating risk. It believes accountability fundamental. Therefore, every action should be documented and revealed.
That's correct. So now we are going to show some signals or characteristics of a corrupted person. What does a person look like?
What are and some things? A corrupt person often lacks transparency. They might hide information or avoid audits. They usually make unsolved financial decisions without justification.
Correct. Another signal of lifestyle is the inconsistency. For example, if an employee's lifestyle suddenly becomes expensive, like you see him or her uh, arriving at work like in a super luxury car with a new outfit, a new phone, or talking about that he or she purchased a new house without any sort of explanation, that could be super suspicious. And on the other hand, secrecy and manipulation are also red flags.
A creative person might preserve art preserve. They offer distinct accountability. This behavior affects the corporate culture.
And now, to move on with some possible causes of corruption. Why do people become corrupt? That's the question of the $1 million. One major cause is the greed. Some people prioritize money over ethics. And additionally, financial pressure can influence to bad decisions.
Lack of international control is another cause. If companies had stronger, complex systems, corruption case will go decrease. Weak leadership can also normalize unethical behavior.
Sometimes corruption happen because uh, Implicit to win no become, low salary, pressure to make targets, and poor supervision can increase the risks.
Correct. That's very true. Now, out of all these podcasts, we can conclude some things. Corruption in finance damages trust, institutions, and the overall economy. Preventing it will require ethic, transparency, and accountability. Thank you so very much for having listened to our podcast.